The sun was sinking behind the red hills of Texas, painting the sky in amber and fire as dust swirled through the sleepy town of Ridge Hollow. The air was heavy with silence, except for the steady, hollow thud of boots against the wooden boards of the old saloon porch. That was where Cole Maddox, the giant cowboy the whole town whispered about, sat alone. His hat tilted low, his jaw rough with days of stubble, and his eyes, cold as the steel of his Colt, fixed on the horizon. Cole was a man who had lost more than he could bear. Once a rancher, a husband, a dreamer. But after the war and a fire that took everything, he'd become a man who spoke little and smiled never. The town knew better than to disturb him. They said his silence was his shield, until a small voice cracked it that evening. "Hey, mister, you need a wife and I need a dad." The words hung in the air like lightning before a storm. Cole lifted his head slowly, and what he saw made his heart stumble for the first time in years. There stood a little girl, no more than 5, with tangled curls, dusty boots, and the most determined eyes he'd ever seen. Her hands clutched a worn-out rag doll, and her chin was lifted like she'd just faced down a gunslinger. Behind her, a woman, tired, barefoot, with the dust of a long road clinging to her dress, came running. "Clara," she called breathlessly, her voice trembling. "Don't bother the man." But Clara didn't move. She stared straight at the cowboy as if she'd found something she'd been searching for all along. Cole blinked, unsure what to say. He'd faced bandits, storms, and loneliness, but never a child's bold honesty. What did you say, kid?" he asked finally, his deep voice softer than usual. Clara took a step closer, her little boots crunching against the dry earth. "I said, you need a wife. My mama can cook real good, and I need a dad. You look like you can keep us safe." The woman behind her turned crimson. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said, pulling Clara gently back. "She doesn't mean—" Cole raised a hand, cutting her off gently. "Don't apologize, Mom. She's got more courage than most men I've met." He looked at the woman properly now. Her eyes were tired but kind, her hands rough but steady. There was strength there, quiet and fierce. "You folks passing through?" he asked. The woman hesitated. "We were," she said softly, "but the wagon broke down 5 miles back. We're just trying to find work before winter sets in." Cole nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. "Ain't much work here for travelers," he said, "but I could use some help on my ranch. Ain't much, but it's dry, safe, and honest work." The woman blinked, surprise flickering in her eyes. "You'd take us in? You don't even know us." Cole stood, towering over both of them like a mountain. But his voice came gentle, almost careful. "Little girl seems to think I need family," he said. Across the plains, the Maddox Ranch saw its first light in years. Clara laughed as she chased fireflies across the porch, her tiny boots clapping on the wood, while her mother, Anna, cooked beans and cornbread in the old kitchen. Cole sat at the doorway, watching the two of them like a man who'd been blind and could suddenly see again. Something inside him shifted. The emptiness that had gnawed at him for years now felt, yes, but old wounds have a way of fighting back. And as days turned into weeks, the cowboy found himself battling ghosts he thought long buried. One evening, as thunder rolled in the distance, Cole sat with Anna on the porch. The rain smelled of coming change. "You don't owe us anything," she said softly, breaking the silence. "You've done more than enough." Cole didn't answer right away. He stared into the storm, his voice deep when it came. "I lost my family once," he said. "My wife and my little girl. Thought I'd buried my heart with them. Then your Clara looked at me like I wasn't some broken ghost, like I was still someone worth trusting." He paused, the thunder echoing his words. "That's something I didn't know I needed." Anna turned to him, tears glimmering in her eyes as the lightning flashed. "She sees what's good," she whispered. "Always has." Cole nodded slowly, his gaze softening. "She's right," he said quietly. "Maybe it's time I stopped running from what's good." When the storm finally broke, Clara came running out, laughing in the rain. Cole scooped her up without thinking, spinning her once as thunder cracked above them. Anna watched, hand over her mouth, as the man who'd once been carved from stone finally laughed, a deep, warm sound that filled the night like music. From that night on, Ridge Hollow whispered about the change in the Maddox Ranch. They said the giant cowboy had found his peace, not through gunfire or gold, but through the courage of a little girl who'd spoken truth with a smile. And maybe, just maybe, love had found its way back to him. As the story closes, the sun rises again over the wide Texas land, glinting off the porch where three shadows sit, one small, one strong, one steady. Sometimes family isn't something you find, it's something that finds you when you've stopped looking. And if you believe in stories where love rides in unexpected, gentle ways, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-touching Western tales that remind you hope can rise, even from dust.